Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Willa Fitzgerald about Reacher, premiering February 4th on Prime Video. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Hello.
It's an exciting time. Has it hit you that it's finally coming out soon?
I mean, today it has. I'm here. I'm talking to all of you. I'm aware.
Obviously today. So much is kind of going on in the show. You do such an amazing job. What's your mindset when you sign on to a project where we're like out the gate, we're flying. There's so much happening. What's that like for you?
I mean, I think being grounded in a character that's very clear is very helpful. And I think that from the first time I read the script, it was just super obvious to me who Rosco was as a character. And I think that kind of having that grounding throughout, what is a wild journey is incredibly helpful and necessary.
Yeah, you do such a great job with Rosco. It's interesting. You work on this, it's coming out, everyone's going to be able to see it on Prime Video. Is there something that you like the most about this character specifically over others?
Yes. I mean, I think that Rosco has such great quippy dialogue with Reacher, and I think that comes from her having such an assured sense of self and Reacher having such an assured sense of self, and to get to see those two characters just kind of like smack into each other is a very fun thing as an actor, and I hope a fun thing for the audience to get to watch.
I mean, everyone who's familiar with Reacher knows it's got the crime, it's got the thrill component, but does it hit you that it's actually, if you think about it, a little genre bending in regards that it does have kind of a lot of elements in this show? Like, does that come to mind at all?
Totally. I think that that's a huge part of why this show is exciting, because it's an action show. It's also a thriller. It's also a mystery. It's also a character drama. It's also a comedy. It's also a romance. It kind of goes in so many different directions at different points in different episodes. And I think that just makes you want to keep following it.
And I'm sure it's pretty refreshing compared to other projects you've worked on where it's like specifically one thing, right? Like Scream is like horror, right? I'm sure it's refreshing to do something that kind of does a lot of things.
Totally. It's very fun. It's fun as an actor and it's fun as an audience member.
Willa Fitzgerald is a storyteller. That's what you do, whether people act, direct. That's what you are.
Yes,
you are a storyteller.
It is
true.
True.
What excites you about storytelling?
I think the ability that storytelling has to touch every person in a different way. I think that you kind of, as an actor, as a storyteller, never really know how your work is going to change someone's day, someone's month, someone's perspective on themselves, on others. And I think that, there always has to be something in anything that I read that feels necessary and good, even if it's a horror movie, even if it's a thriller, whatever the genre is, even if on its surface it's something that is kind of uglier and harder to watch. I think that there has to be some sort of goodness in there for me to be interested in it.
You look at Reacher, you look at Scream, Dare Me, Little Women. I mean, does it kind of just happen that you're able to kind of work on a bunch of different projects in different genres, or is that something that you hope for as a storyteller?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that I definitely hope for. I think that I have been very lucky to not be pigeonholed in certain areas, and I think that I've gotten to play a lot of characters. I do feel that I've gotten very lucky in getting to be a character actor. I would say pretty much everyone who I've played is incredibly different from the one before. And that is the greatest joy of getting to be an actor from my perspective.
Obviously, you hope people enjoy it and everything. And, Rosco and Jack Reacher have this amazing, like you said, back and forth and everything. But diving deep into it a little bit more, Willa, when people get the chance to see Reacher, what are you hoping they'll get out of it specifically, takeaway-wise?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think that there is in this show an essential goodness in the people who are fighting for something that they feel is just. And I think that is something that we as human beings on this planet should feel empowered to do. Fight for the things that we believe in and fight for the good. And I think that, Reacher does that in a very obvious way. I think that most of us do that in less obvious ways in our everyday life.
Oh, 100%. I'm really curious because we've established that it's a genre bending show in regards that there's a lot happening, and there's always going to be learning experiences, whether you've worked for, many years or you're new to it. So I'm just curious, can you share some kind of learning experiences in terms of filming this show for you specifically?
Yeah, no, totally. I think that there is a lot of genre bending in this show, and I think that necessitates you as an actor working in a lot of different arenas. It's very different to be kind of doing the more procedural side of the show where you're solving a crime, you're laying out facts, you're figuring out the whodunit element of it. And that's very different to the more character side of the show. That's more of a drama between Rosco and Reacher, which is very different from the more comedic scenes where it's all about the pace and picking up the cues and, being there with the right energy to meet your scene partner. And I think that is certainly a challenge, and I hope that we did it well.
And it's so interesting because, there's a lot of things that you're able to put on, like sitcoms are great for this too, right? You put them on and, you're doing some work, you're grabbing a pizza after work, just watching it. I mean, Reacher's not that show. You got to pay attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you have to be very dialed in for the show.
Yeah, I think that is true. I think that there's a lot that can pass you by. And I think that if you are paying attention really closely, there's also a lot of fun sort of Easter eggs that you can find as you watch it. And, even if you watch it a second time at some point down the road, stuff that you'll see in a second watching that, are fun clues or treats for the more kind of eagle-eyed viewer.
And before we wrap up quickly, it's pretty cool, like to do something adapted on something like characters that existed in books and everything. It's a pretty cool thing.
I love doing adaptations. Yeah. I've gotten very lucky to do a few. I find them very fun.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I wanted to thank you so much for taking some time on Popternative to chat about Reacher. This was great.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.